in the aftermath and the wake of the hurricane here in Florida, yeah, it definitely did some severe damage to the homes that are basically on the beaches here. And I'm gonna just kind of cascade through them real quick, show you them around. News Channel 8, the local affiliate, is down there right now recording some of the drama that they're gonna try to play out and tell you about, why hurricanes are so dangerous and all that. No, the big problem is these homes being built on a beachhead. Same thing happened in Louisiana. When rich people think they are better than everybody and can buy and purchase ridiculous spots of land like this because they say it's worth something, it gets to the point when you realize that they're not even thinking. And the people who are really making money on this shit, have got to be the collectors of these insurance claims, because stuff is so silly, because you have so much damage. But I would never insure a home that's sitting itself on a beach for two reasons. Number one, like in Florida, for instance, it's called the Sunshine State, right? Oh, let me flip this around here. Sorry, guys. Sorry, you just want to hear a narration. You don't want to hear me get pissed. No, so in the state of Florida, it's a Sunshine State. So basically, what we do is that we invite tourism to come down to the state simply to enjoy the beauty of our beaches. However, you find out something very, very, I don't know, what's that word? Very, very concerning when you get here. You find out that there's no place to park. I mean, even as a Florida resident, I have to pay to park to come to the beach, and I live here. And the reason is because you've allowed all of these homes to basically be built right on top of the beach itself. I mean, the homes over here are actually responsible for, I think it's something like 20 feet from the seawall. So they basically have an ownership of a part of the beach. I'm walking on an area technically that is considered private property, but I've always said the beach is not private property. You should not be able to allow these people to be building here. But they allow it, and now you can see, you have a beach that's entirely empty. Nobody comes down here because these homes don't gain access to it. The only way you can get here is by walking miles down that way to walk across these beaches. And I do it simply because I don't like to get interrupted half the time when I'm doing these walk and talks. But overall, I mean, the reason why you shouldn't, insurance companies shouldn't be insuring these homes is because of the same thing that happens every time during a hurricane. Now the media's down here going to try to tell everybody and sell on everybody about why it's so important to have, hurricane preparedness and all of this other stuff. Look, I've been living here since the 80s, okay? And this area has the exact same theme every time a hurricane comes through. Now, don't get me wrong, there have been some, curveballs every once in a while, but for the most part, as long as you do your basic preparedness and you use your fucking head, you don't run into these problems. They create this drama for you so that you go out and buy all these batteries and this water and these sandbags and all of this other stuff. I mean, look, if you're living out here, you're damn right. You're gonna need some sandbags. But these homes shouldn't be here to begin with in the first place. And my overall point in this thing is that you can see what happens when people try to fight against nature. You can see what happens every single time when nature does its thing and we try to interfere with it. And that will get us onto another subject down the road, this whole climate bullshit, the CO2 emissions. Ooh, well, here's the deal. Remember COVID? You remember that little sequel thing where we were all in lockdowns and everything like that? Well, during the lockdowns, when nobody was allowed to go anywhere, there was no traveling allowed, all of that stuff, you realize that the CO2 went up. So how is that possible if nobody was doing anything? Well, mostly nobody. The vehicles weren't out there, the ships weren't moving, the basic stuff, the cars weren't all on the road, so the CO2, what do you call it, carbon footprint, whatever you want to say, should have gone down, but it didn't. And that's because we know that the earth is always changing. It's these people in these positions, the same assholes that are trying to, run our country into the ground and trying to basically buy up all the stuff and creating the Maui fires and causing all this other shit. These are the people that are putting you and me in jeopardy by the decisions that they make. And the decisions that they're making are ones that basically benefit them alone. Now they're going to sell a whole group of people who are already brainwashed into this whole thing. It's going to sell them. But the reality is, in the end of this, it's going to have intense blowback. People are eventually going to realize the only way they win is if they can find a way to kill us all. And I'm sure they're working on it right now. They sure as hell did with the So, yeah. You got to start thinking, my friends. You got to start thinking. I want you to get your video camera. I want you to get out there. I want you to start talking about this stuff. Talk to other people. People want to hear the truth. They really do. They want to hear that, there's people out there really giving a shit. There are people out there that are really wanting to make a difference. There are people out there right now that are focusing on those asshats, that deep state, those people that are trying to find a way to manipulate this reality, trying to turn you into a hamster on a goddamn wheel. You're already there, but they want to make it permanent. See, the thing about this whole deep state, this whole globalist ideology, is they want to set up the world in a way where you don't have rights. You have privileges, okay? And like privileges, they can giveth or they can taketh away. And that's exactly what they are doing. That's exactly what this whole insertion of this United Nations, which is the former League of Nations, when you see the game at play, when they've installed these specific entities at specific times throughout history, like the Federal Reserve, and then shortly after it, the IRS, which is basically the Gestapo for the Federal Reserve, and make sure you get that tax money, okay? You can see that once you gave control of a monetary system to a private bank entity, well, the rest is history. And then in the 70s, they took the most important thing that made that currency worth something, gold. They took that off too. So now it's just, yeah, we owe you. I owe you. I'm good for it. Don't worry about it. I'm good for it. That's the old monetary system that we have today. And it's the reason why guys like Joe Biden and the common denominator, the real deep statey guy, Barack Obama, that's how they got us in the deepest shit we're in right now. And if you don't think for 1 second that that good old Barry, that rock star, lichen cockstar, Obama, if you don't think that he ain't running the shot right now, and that guy is not in his basement like he said with an earpiece and having a front man out there and he's just phoning in the answers, if you don't think that's what's going on, well, then wake the fuck up, okay? Because I don't know what I have to do to open people's eyes. Remember, your eyes are attached to your brain. In order to see things properly, you have to have them both open. So I want people to start thinking. The most important thing you can do as an individual is to think. Get outside your comfort zone. Start challenging the authority. See, most people, they don't want to challenge anything. They're afraid that if they say anything or do anything, that, I'm going to get ridiculed. I'm going to get, people are going to look at me in a different way. Well, goddamn right they are. The whole idea is to get the fuck out there and do what you know and get involved in a way where you can actually participate. Maybe you're a graphic artist. Maybe you're a videographer. Maybe you're in advertising. Maybe you're a person who knows how to make money quickly. And you can use that for good because you know how to flip and take that extra cash and give it to an entity that actually deserves it. It's amazing the amount of power that we forfeit as Americans. We have abdicated our votes for a very long time, and they have counted on that. These Democrats and these establishment bureaucrats, these neoconic liberals, neoconic conservatives, whatever you want to call these guys, globalists, they're all the same people. They all have the same, I don't know, what's that word? They all have the same approach to the game. They don't give a shit about you. It's not about you. It's not about you at all. What it's about turning what you see, your reality, into a world they created for you. Just think about that. All of the stuff that we need right now, all of the microchips, parts, all that kind of stuff, it's all controlled by the entity across the sea. That's not putting you in the status quo position of, on top. You have to put yourself in a position of power in order for things to work properly. And the United States for the longest time had smart people doing smart things, but all of a sudden we got tired, we got stupid. We gave control to, and again, when you think about we are not a democracy. You got to stop thinking that. When Democrats love to say, "Oh, in this democracy, we are not a democracy." Democracy is mob rule. Mob rule. And the mob always votes themselves in all the goodies they possibly can. And the problem with it is that it just makes government in and of itself a huge, huge entity. Yeah, no. We gotta, I don't know what the word is anymore. We gotta find our lanes, each of us, and then start getting in there and causing a disruption, because these people are writing the story they want, and they're getting away with a lot. Now, granted, a lot is coming to the surface now, but that's only because people have been fighting back. Just imagine if tomorrow another third of the United States decided to open their mouth and stop remaining silent. Just think about the potentiality of that conversation. I believe in my gut that, based upon what you see happening in New York right now with the people in Staten Island, going apeshit over the fact that they have all these migrants, kind of living in their backyard now, and people have had enough. They are sick and tired of the government taking other countries' shit, and I don't mean that in a nasty way. I'm just saying people obviously want to get out of that country here, but you're giving them the buy-in. You're saying, hey, look, come to the country free, and hey, we're going to pay you a ticket, we're going to give you some cash, give you some food, give you a place to live. We're basically giving them America's not only time, places, but you're giving all the treasure away too. So all the tax money, they want you to show up to work every Monday morning, and they basically want you to pay this tax, that tax, and the next tax, and his taxes and her taxes and everybody else's taxes, but then they want to take your money and give it to everybody else but you. I don't think that is a black, brown, white, Asian, whatever color, creed, sex issue. I just don't think it is. I think anybody with a brain and anybody who is somewhat lucid and opens their eyes and really kind of looks at this stuff, they can detect the bullshit a mile away. It's not difficult. You just have to be willing to look. I know we're living in a time now where everybody has, an opinion on something. But I want you to think about this for a minute. In any conversation you've ever had in life, right? I'm talking about personally, right? When you stand in front of somebody and you say, hey, I'm talking with this person, and then they say something that is probably a little over the top or whatnot, and you've known this person for a fairly long time. You can kind of call bullshit in the moment, right? But it's difficult with people that you don't know, or somebody that you see on television. So you have to kind of rely on the media or somebody else's perspective on what it is they say this person is or is not. I'm trying to get everybody in the habit of stop doing that, okay? It's just like a friend in the friend circle that likes to talk gossip about the other friends, okay? You gotta put that shit to bed almost immediately, and you gotta make sure that you really know what you're talking about when you're asking these kind of questions, because I hear a lot of people talking where I work, and just in general. And most of the time, they don't even know where they got this tidbit of information from. And they're spewing it off and preaching it like it's gospel. And it's bullshit. So I just want everybody, and this includes myself, I try to check my ego at the fucking door every single day, because I'm not trying to be right, I'm just trying to get shit right. And if you're living in a society right now where you don't know what the right answers are, but you do know something doesn't make sense, this is the time to act. We only have, I would say, another year and a half. We have less than that. We have 6 months to start getting our game plan in order. And the only way you're gonna do that is by getting directly involved where you live. You have to be able to do the right thing for the right reasons at the right time. We've been relying on our senators, our representatives to do this, and of course, what are they doing? They're just jerking us all around. They're talking about things, but are they really getting anything done? No, they're not. So we have to actually put our foot to the floor and start holding them accountable, because if we don't, you're going to start seeing a completely different America. You can't rely on the government to start handing things out. We talk about this stuff all the time with whether or not we live in a democracy. We don't live in a democracy. You hear it all the time on the media. You hear it constantly spewed out on all of these liberal ideological networks, okay? They keep talking about democracy, democracy, and more democracy. The problem with it is we aren't one. So I wish they would stop saying that, because it's only there to muddy the waters. You're smarter than this. You know you're smarter than this, and you know when people are telling you bullshit. You know it. So all I'm asking people to do is to kind of like reinvestigate some of the things you thought were true. And then discover it for yourself. Like if you were amongst your friends, like if this was one of your friends, so to say, they say, if you had to try to figure out if your friend was lying to you, what would you do? Would you do nothing? I mean, we're talking about the friends group and the friends circle. You know, it's that one thing that we can do that can make the difference or not. And I'm starting to see more people speak up, but I would love to get another 1/3 of this country to start jumping in the MAGA corner, because everything you've heard about MAGA is probably horseshit too. Again, I'm one of those guys that goes into the field and talks to people every single day. I try to meet them where they are in their life story, and then I try to understand how they've come to the conclusions that they have. Because see, most people don't even know how they got the information in that head of theirs. I mean, they just don't, because we're fed lines of bullshit on a regular basis, and it's on a 24/7 cycle. You can turn on the news at any moment, and they're gonna tell you what the news is. Whether you believe them or not is entirely up to you. But bottom line, we're at that point in American history where you can't rely on somebody else's, not even this conversation, you can't rely on somebody else's horseshit. You can't rely on somebody else's ideology to get you through the day. No, you have to become the hero in your own life story. You have to become the person that goes out there and says, you know what, I've had enough of this shit. I know I'm being lied to. I don't know what I'm being lied to about, but the story just doesn't pass the sniff test. And that's where I was going with this just a few moments ago. You know, in that friends group, you can always have that person, they'll stand right next to you and they say, yeah, you know, they say something and it's like way off the cusp. And you know they're full of shit, but now you gotta prove it, okay? Well, that's what I'm asking you to do in this same scenario. There's a lot of shit out there. Now, if you don't know it to be true, you need to go investigate. And just, when I say, don't just Google it, because that's another thing. There's so much stuff out there that is designed to push you into a specific direction. And if you go down the wrong rabbit hole, well, I've been there. It really is annoying when you wasted 2 hours of time just to find out that it's a bullshit story. Kind of like the Russia shit. But anyway, we have 6 months to get our shit together. And the way we do this is by getting involved where we live. That means talking to the people in your community, because nobody's going to trust you more than the people that you know. And that's the reality we're living in today. You can't say, well, you know, I'm going to trust Dave, this guy, you know, I just heard one video on a Getter or a Rumble post. No, that's not going to do you any good. You're going to find out very goddamn quickly that most of the people online have good intentions. But I always said the road to hell is paved with good intentions. And yeah, investigate. You know, I always said, you know, trust but verify. You hear that term all the time, trust but verify. That's all this is, my friends. You got to learn to take what you hear, digest it a little bit, but don't take it too seriously. Unless you've been doing this for a long time, then you can start pulling those cards out left and right. It's like the mainstream media. If you watch them on a regular basis, they almost become like family. So when they say something that is not really true, you can almost hear it in their voice. Because lies, unless you're really, really good at them, don't roll off the tongue very sweet when you know you have to force them and you have to deliver them in a certain way to create a certain effect. And that's the game being played by the media. That's their job role. Their job role is to manipulate you to get you believe their horseshit. And their horseshit, that comes directly from the CIA, Justice Department, the whole deep state. They're the one writing the script. They're the one telling you exactly what to think and why to think it. And it nudges you and pushes you into a particular line of thinking. That's been the game at play for a very, very long time. And it's up to you now to do your part, to get involved where you live and make a fucking difference. I believe in you guys. I'll see you all on the battlefield. Take care, my friends. We'll catch you on the next one. Peace.